Alright, so what is going on? I hope everyone is okay. This is Simplifies, aka Zambian Software Developer, and we have started our series with computer science. And the first topic that we're going to do today is what is a computer? And we are going to gain a very good insight about operating systems and what an operating system is. So let us start. We use computers on a daily basis. Most of us don't actually know how to define a computer, what a computer is. Most people will just think it's just a desktop, like a desktop, but we barely know that they're actually surrounded by computers. Most of them don't even know that even a phone is a computer, and some other devices that they have in the home that actually use microchips and so on are actually computers. So what exactly is a computer? A computer is just an electronic device that takes an input, processes it, and then gives an output, and also interact with other devices like what we call peripheral devices. Peripheral devices, these are just other devices that you actually connect to a computer when you want it to operate. So when you put that peripheral device in the computer, you expect a response, right? That is also just an example of what a computer does. You give it an input, it processes it, and then gives out an output. I will explain further as we go on, but that is just a simple example. And we are surrounded by computers, especially in the modern world. Everywhere you go, you find a computer, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the brief history about computers themselves. How far we come with computers to reach at this age, the fourth industrial revolution that we're actually living in. Okay, so now we have maybe it might not look that perfect. I designed this myself, so the presentation might not look that kind of beautiful, but I just wanted to get concept. We have what really is. So history of a computer. So when you go deep into computer systems, you will just understand that computers are just they're just a certain type of machine, right? And inside the same machine, we have small components that actually run these processes that we see on the computer, such as the displays, the movies, or any other activities that are actually doing on the computer are actually being done by the small components inside. Now, before those small components were there, they were actually they were big, like they used to use big components. But at the current world that we're living in, you find that let me give an example of a storage device that we had long ago. The first storage device that they had was occupying about 5 MB and was covering the size of the room. But right now, we have the smallest storage device. About, let's say, 1 terabyte can be the size of my nail, the top part of my nail, right? That's how far we've come. So let me not talk about that. Let me focus on what we're actually talking about. So when you look to my left, to your left, right? To the left side, this is what we call a transistor. And these transistors, they make the foundation of every computer that you ever see. I mean, at least for now, they make the foundation of all computers. When you go into a little bit of electronic engineering, you'll find that they just run electricity. Those three poles that you're seeing there, they're just taking electricity and give an output. But when you put them together, when you put a bunch of them, you are able to set up an instruction for these things, for these transistors to operate like a computer, or like do calculations and so on. But the bigger they are, the smaller the process of running, right? But the smaller they become, the more you are able to put a lot of transistors together, and then at the end of the day, you create this powerful processing machine. In the actual sense, we only have zeros and ones, right? In zeros and ones. In computer science, we call them zeros and ones. In electronic engineering, we we call them, it's just electricity, right? When electricity passes through, we call that a 1. When electricity doesn't pass through, we call that as a 0. And that's what we call in computer science as zeros and ones, right? So through that, you are able to create things like calculators and so on, and you are able to do these basic things. That's what that's how these transistors have been able to help us in history, right? And when you put them together, now we have what we call this IC, or what we call an integrated circuit. So an integrated circuit is just a bunch of transistors that have been put together and has been actually been made smaller than the actual transistor. I wish I had a transistor, but if you look at a transistor, it's like it's almost the size, the top size of a ball pen, right? When you look at, yeah, like a ball pen. Yeah, a ball pen, the top part. If you've opened your any electronic device at your home, you'll be able to know what a transistor looks like. And that's how big they are. But when they make them smaller and then they put them into an IC like this one, they make an integrated circuit, and then they are able to do basic electronic processes. When you go into things like embedded systems and things like embedded systems, or when you look at the Arduino Uno and all those, they all fall under this. And I think in the future I'll be able to make a video about Arduino Unos as well, and you will be able to understand what this is all about. So now from this we know what we call the microprocessor. So now, like I'm saying, we're just taking a bunch of transistors, making them smaller, and creating a bigger and powerful processing machine. And that's how we managed to come up with this microprocessor. It's just a bunch of transistors, like billions. They even list billions nowadays, and the bigger they are, the smaller they are, the more powerful they are, right? And that's how these guys are able to come up with microprocessors like this, very powerful machines. And when you put this microprocessors, actually what is in your computer, the device that you're actually using to watch this video right now has this thing inside, and they make up billions of transistors together that they're able to perform calculations, they're able to perform processes, dealing with memories and so on. I hope in the future I'll be able to make a basic video about this magnificent engineering process that you're actually seeing here, or what you see, what happens in a computer. But that's that. And then as we advance now, the current world, we're now actually dealing with AI, or artificial intelligence. I'll be able to explain further about this as we start doing things like computer programming and so on. But like I said, it's just the same. We're just taking a bunch of small transistors, putting them together, making them smaller and making them smaller, and then we're able to build powerful things like artificial intelligence. I'm sure most of you have heard of things like Meta AI. Have you ever wondered how that thing is able to answer questions, and how it's able to perform things that many actually even think a human cannot? But at the end of the day, a human is much more advanced and better. Let me just say an animal. But we have been able to create something like this, and this should be something that's amazing. So in the next video, I could be able to explain further about what the structure of a computer, what is inside a computer, how does the software interact with the hardware, and so on. Thank you very much. Kindly like and subscribe and follow, and please share to other people that we could be able to help take this thing to the next level. I just want to be one of the people who will be able to help fellow Zambians understand technology and be able to apply these things into our day-to-day lives. And I really hope I've helped someone there. And if you have any other suggestions, or if you have any other compliments, please just post them in the comments, and then I'll be able to welcome them. Or if there's a topic that you want me to focus on specifically, I'll be I'll be very happy to make a separate video about that. I just wanted to focus on this because they form the basic of a computer. Most people just operate the computer and they don't really understand how the hardware comes to play part in the software processes of a computer. Like you just pick up your phone and then you capture a picture, but you don't actually know what happens. Now I want you to basically understand that this is just a bunch of electricity happening in the background. Alright, don't want to say much. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. Thank you.